Hi, good morning. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between developmental delays and autism. Do you know the difference? Here's what you need to know. So developmental delay is when a child is behind on their milestones. So whether that be walking, talking, socializing, etc. But they usually catch up once they get them going with a little bit of support, and they match the same development as their peers. Autism characteristics is a learning difference. So you start to see a pattern in the way your child learns, no matter what that milestone is: walking, talking, socializing. For example, when you consider speech and communication, those with developmental delays may talk later, but the language is still developing appropriately. Whereas a child on the spectrum, their language looks different. Maybe they're echoing from a show that they see, one phrase out of like the whole episode, or maybe they're picking up bits and pieces of the last thing you said in a conversation with mom or dad, or they're struggling with back and forth conversation skills. Let's look at play and socialization. A kid with developmental delays plays with toys accordingly and appropriately. They just do it at a later stage. Whereas a child on the spectrum doesn't play with toys functionally or how they're meant to be played with. Maybe they focus or hyper focus on one part of the toy. A lot of times you see our kids really like cars because they like to look at the wheels upside down. Next, consider socialization. So our little ones with developmental delays are interested in other peers, and once they kind of figure out how to approach them, they enjoy playing. Whereas our little ones on the spectrum prefer to play alone, they're limited in eye contact, or another big one is they don't respond to their name. Lastly, another example, flexibility. When you think about transitions, our little ones with developmental delays can handle those changes once their skills catch up, whereas our little ones on the spectrum have a really hard time transitioning from one thing to the next because our little ones prefer sameness and routines, and when those things change, their whole world gets turned upside down. So what's the difference here? With developmental delays, skills usually catch up to same-aged peers. With our little ones on the spectrum, they need ongoing support and help to continue to meet those developmental needs. If you're still unsure, that's totally okay. Parenting does not come with a one-size-fits-all handy book, and that's where support comes in. First, talk to your pediatrician. They should be familiar with the early developmental milestones. The earlier that you can talk with your pediatrician, the better. There are early screenings that can help give you answers to whether or not your child is on the spectrum and give you an idea of where to start looking if you need more support. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help and offer my services. Bye.